the pandemic is over. If you notice, no one's wearing masks. Everybody seems to be in pretty good shape. And so I think it's changing, and I think this is a perfect example of it.
All right, the president, you heard him there say the pandemic is over. That was at an auto show where Biden and many others were seen maskless. That was, of course, being recorded for his 60 Minutes interview. But across the country, COVID-related mandates continue. Now, New York City's Department of Education is reportedly firing hundreds more teachers and classroom aides who refuse to get vaccinated. National correspondent Mike Carter is live with the very latest on this story. Mike?
Emma, good morning. Well, 850 more teachers and aides right here in New York City have now been let go by the Department of Education, bringing the total number of school employees fired due to vaccine mandates since last October to just under 2,000 people. Unbelievable. These mandates, which have increasingly been struck down in courts, have all but disappeared in most of the country, but still persist here in the Big Apple. About 1,300 Department of Ed employees who took a year of unpaid leave with benefits agreed to show proof of COVID vaccination by September 5th, or were forced to have resigned. A key word there. They weren't fired, they were forced to resign. New York's Department of Ed says of those 1,300 staffers, 450 of them received a shot by the deadline and are being allowed to return to work. But not everyone so happy about this.
New York City is living in a delusional world of power and ego. I think Eric Adams has bought in to these mandates. He's also bought into the idea that he could change them whenever he wants. He carved out the mandates for athletes, carved them out for performers. You could be a stripper in New York City and you don't have to show proof of vaccination, but a sanitation worker, a cop, firefighter, teacher, you don't get that same privilege as a stripper does. And hey, I got no problem with the stripper. I want the stripper to work their job and not show proof of vaccination. But why don't teachers, cops, firefighters get the same privilege? I'm not a conservative. I'm not a Republican. What's happened is they have thrown me into the arms of conservatives and Republicans who have scooped up the common sense, who have said, this doesn't make sense, so we're not going to have a policy that doesn't make sense. I might disagree with Lee Zeldin, the Republican running for governor, on a number of issues, but he is 100% with the fired workers.
And that last key point there, you heard from that gentleman right there. He's a fired New York City school teacher. He's not a Republican, but in a very tight race here for governor here in New York State, I should say, between Kathy Hochul and Lee Zeldin, separated by just about 4 points right now. You're hearing a lot of independents and Democrats even saying that these kinds of mandates, these could change former Democrats into the Republican side. Real quick, guys, 2,600 people, 2,600 municipal workers have now been fired here in New York City. We're talking firefighters, teachers, police officers, since they would not become fully vaccinated. That final deadline, September 5th, a lot of folks there left without a job because they're sticking to their guns. They're not getting vaccinated. Back to you.
Such a loss for the city there. Mike Carter with the very latest from New York. Thanks, Mike.